Hi, leuk dat je kijkt naar weer een aflevering van Een Rijker Leven. Mijn naam is Rogier en op deze plek leer jij hoe geld werkt voor jou in plaats van andersom. En in deze aflevering ga ik een interview hebben met Rob Margolis, de directeur van Institutional Services bij BlockFi. Die gaan dus zo meteen naar het interview kijken waar ik Rob allerlei vragen ga stellen over wat voor bedrijf is BlockFi, hoe verdienen ze hun geld, hoe zit het nu als we straks die bear cycle potentieel ingaan, hoe kan BlockFi dan nog steeds garant staan voor die enorme rente die te verdienen is op een BlockFi account. Mocht je nog helemaal geen BlockFi account hebben, ik heb hier ook apart een video over gemaakt, die link ik even hierboven. Hier beneden in de gepinde comments van mij vind je de unieke registratielink waarmee je tot $250 aan Bitcoin cadeau krijgt van BlockFi, mits jij voldoende dollars dus overstuurt naar jouw BlockFi savings account. En dat is heel interessant. Ik zit daar zelf inmiddels ook al een tijdje. En je kunt iedere eerste van de maand krijg je dat geld uitgekeerd. En je kunt zelf kiezen of je dat wil in stablecoins of in crypto naar keuze. Laten we snel naar het interview gaan. En let's go. Hi Rob, my name is Rogier and van Een Rijker Leven. Thank you for making time for me for doing this interview about BlockFi. And maybe we could start with asking you to introduce yourself. And so who am I talking with?
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I am Rob Margolis and I head up the crypto native business at BlockFi. Maybe a good place to start would be how I got to this position in the first place. So, like a lot of people on the institutional team at my firm, we came from traditional finance. So I did a few years in equity derivative structuring at Goldman, a big traditional bank here in the US, did a stint in fixed income trading. And then in 2017, I was offered the opportunity to go head up institutional sales at a US regulated derivatives exchange called LedgerX. It was founded by two former Goldman traders, one of which I overlapped with during my time at GS, and she was looking to build out the team. It was a 13-person company. It seemed like an incredibly exciting opportunity to go into an industry that was really taking off. And summer of 2017, was there for 2 years, and then was offered the opportunity to join BlockFi to head up this new business on the institutional side. And it was, too good of an opportunity to pass up. So I've been running this team of 4 people now for a little over a year.
So this is your second bull run that you are in the middle of right now, personally?
Yeah, you can start seeing the gray hairs in my beard at this point. I've been through enough market cycles where my stomach is iron at this point.
Yeah, it's important for the crypto space, indeed. Yeah, but the head of institutional services, can you explain to us a little bit what that is, what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about BlockFi's business on the institutional side, we have a few different verticals that we organize ourselves by. So we have a whole team dedicated to trading, and there's a few different sub verticals within trading, whether it's quant focused or execution focused or developer focused. We have a structuring and risk team, which involves a whole different functions across multiple sort of like creating the webs between a lot of different businesses within BlockFi, I think is the right way to look at it. And then we have an institutional coverage team. It's a global institutional coverage team. We have members in New York, San Francisco, London, Singapore, Hong Kong. And we're looking to continue to expand to different geographies outside of that. And so our job as the institutional coverage team is to be the relationship managers with each one of BlockFi's institutional clients. And so specifically, my segment is what we call crypto native, which is covering all of our institutional clients, whether it's hedge funds, prop trading firms, so trading their own capital is what that entails, corporates, so think like big exchanges as an example, protocols, endowments, or foundations, miners, anybody whose business is solely focused on digital assets. Those are the institutional clients that I cover directly. Now, as part of that vertical, as part of being the crypto native guy within the BlockFi institutional team, I also work on a few other business lines. So I work on our DeFi and staking businesses. I work on our mining business, and I'm also helping to build up our research business at BlockFi.
That sounds amazing. And BlockFi, how many employees does BlockFi have currently? How large is the company?
Yeah, it's been an amazing story. So when I joined in, let's see. So when I joined in March of last year, we were right around 80 people, and we're now over 700 people globally,
Wow.
which is an incredible amount of growth over a little over a year. Excuse me, during these very challenging times with COVID. It's been incredible to see. So I mean, we've, outside of those offices that are our largest offices, we also have people in Argentina and Poland who are focused on the development side. So we have huge engineering staff, an incredible security team, an incredible compliance team, and a massive client service team. And I think that's actually one of the biggest differentiators about BlockFi, which it's something that I know Zach, our CEO, is incredibly proud of. We're one of the few crypto companies that post a phone number on our website that you can call. And if you call it, you will get access to a real human who will be able to answer your question and help you out, which is becoming increasingly rare within this crypto space. And I think is one of the big value adds to our team and our service is that, we're an accessible company for anybody who's looking to get into the crypto space.
Yeah, it's really large. And some of your clients, can you tell, is it also maybe like Binance or Kraken or Coinbase? Are those also clients of BlockFi?
Yeah, so I mean, without saying exactly who our institutional clients are, you're definitely going down the right rabbit hole of the types of clients we would face. So, big exchanges are definitely people who we're talking to on a frequent basis, whether it's, execution venues that we're working towards. So we have a whole trading side of our business. We also speak to them in the context of providing capital to different parts of their businesses. There's other sort of more esoteric opportunities for us to work together with exchanges.
So about
we're quite close with.
So probably about the capital part, that's because BlockFi for retailers such as myself, we post money, crypto on the BlockFi accounts, and of course that money is used to fuel your clients, right? So if it goes to an exchange, that's how they, for example, can do leverage trading. That's how they make money with your money, right? So is that also part of your business model, BlockFi, in that part? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? How your revenue model works within the crypto space?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few different ways to tackle that one. So I think the best place to start would be to just break out BlockFi's business model as simply as I can lay it out. You can almost look at us as like having two sides of the broader whole. And one of them is the consumer facing business, which is what you interact with when you go to, BlockFi.com. That is a few main verticals to it. So it started out with fiat loans backed by crypto collateral. It expanded into our interest account, which was the product you were referencing. So you can deposit crypto and I think you can earn 6% on Bitcoin. You can earn 8.6% on US dollar deposits, 9.3% on Tether deposits. We have trading, which functions a lot like a brokerage trading model where you can transact in and out of crypto and dollars, depending on your jurisdiction. And then we also are launching the credit card. It's going to be a US product to start, but I know there's plans to expand that globally. But it's going to function just like any credit card in your wallet, where you can go to the coffee shop or you can go to the grocery store and you can buy, whatever good you're buying with it, but earn your rewards in Bitcoin or earn your rewards in crypto instead of earning rewards in points.
Unfortunately, not available yet in the Netherlands. Huh?
Not yet, but I believe it is one of our strong goals to make this a product that is available globally.
Yeah. Globally.
So I would stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds very interesting.
And so that whole business, one way to look at that whole side of the business is there are plenty of different ways that we generate revenue from that side of the business. We're launching where trading business has gotten quite large to that side. But there's another side of the business, the institutional side where I sit, which to your point, we have these massive balances that both retail and institutional depositors leverage our product to put assets and earn a return on them. Yeah, we're north of 20 billion in assets on our platform. The institutional team where I sit, we take those assets and we generate a return on them by lending them to very high credit counterparties on the institutional side that we pass through as the interest to our clients.
Yeah, that's very nice. And so what is the risk then for consumers? How does that work? Because let's say that I put $20,000 into my savings account, and if I don't have a cold storage myself, so my Bitcoin is in your hands, of course. So
Yeah.
how does that work? The storage of my Bitcoin, and if you get hacked, stuff like that. Can you tell me a little bit more?
Yeah. So currently BlockFi is not a custodian. So we work with a few very big brand name custodians, Gemini, BitGo, Coinbase Custody, Fireblocks, Fidelity. These are all custodians on our roster that we work with, where the assets that are on deposit with BlockFi will sit in one of those custodians. These are all custodians that have been vetted by our incredible security team. Our CSO, Adam Healy, he's built multiple custodians over his career, most recently at Backed, the New York Stock Exchange subsidiary. Before that, Digital Asset Custody Group. And then before that, he was working at a few different private companies like Palantir. And then he was at the National Security Agency for a while, I believe. So a very long history on that end. So he's vetted each one of these custodians separately. The other important side of this equation that is incredibly important to be transparent about and talk through in this type of venue is, how do we generate a return on those assets? Mm-hmm. Those, that return doesn't come out of thin air, right? Any of the assets that a client deposits at BlockFi, and Rob Margolis, I keep my Bitcoin at BlockFi, right? So any assets that I deposit at BlockFi, there's no guarantee at any given time that they are sitting in cold storage. All the assets have the potential to be lent out to institutional counterparties to generate a return on them. And so, how do you think about that risk? How do you think about how BlockFi manages that risk? There's a few different layers to that are really important to touch on. The first place that I like to think about is, who does BlockFi deal with? Who are the counterparties that we talk to?
Exactly.
Across our entire business, whether it's my vertical of the crypto natives, or we have a few incredible coverage people on our team. The one who heads up our traditional hedge fund and prop trading group, she's amazing. The gentleman who heads up our private client group is fantastic. All of these people who work together. We have a woman who heads up real money for like sovereign wealth funds or endowments or big pensions. All of these people, the first thing that we look through when we're going through and looking to find clients who could be institutional counterparts on BlockFi is whether they meet our bare minimum of having at least 10 million in equity and audited financials. That's like a hard line in the sand of what you need to start being an institutional client at BlockFi, which is frankly a pretty high parameter in the crypto space, based on what a lot of people are lending out with counterparty selection. So that just opens the door. Mm-hmm. Now that that door is opened, each one of our institutional counterparties is covered directly by a credit officer at BlockFi. So BlockFi hired a few people from Bank of America's hedge fund credit risk team to come join our team and analyze each one of the credits directly. So let's just take the example of I sign on a client, let's just call it, a big crypto hedge fund. Mm-hmm. They pass the bar of having 10 million in equity and audited financials. I'll introduce them to one of our credit officers who will be their direct coverage. They'll submit the audited financials. They'll submit their risk reporting. They'll submit their investor decks. They'll submit all of their incorporation documents, AML and KYC.
It's a pretty thorough due diligence process.
Really thorough. Once we get all that information, then we start credit underwriting. So we'll dive into their business. We'll hop on multiple calls where we'll learn everything about their trading strategies, their businesses, their use of funds. And then once that whole process is complete, we will actually go out and set a combination of gross and net credit limits for each client. And what that means is there's a maximum amount of exposure we would take. And then for certain very creditworthy clients, we'll actually potentially take a certain amount of unsecured credit exposure to these clients, right? So an example of that is if you think of, some of the look at, our investor list. You can look at our investors with places like Tiger Global, Bain Ventures, Fidelity, Susquehanna, Jump Trading, some very large traditional asset managers. If somebody of that nature, not say they are clients, but somebody of that nature came to BlockFi and wanted to borrow $1 million of unsecured Bitcoin versus a, $50 billion balance sheet that's made up of traditional assets and crypto, it's a very good counterparty for us to face. Mm-hmm. So then we set these two limits of exposure. Everything is automated and built into our own internal systems to constantly monitor and make sure that we are staying within those risk parameters that we set. So that's the big thing that when it comes to counterparty selection. Yeah. I would say the other thing that's really interesting to note that I think is pretty unique for our business within the crypto space, we've never liquidated an institutional participant. So, what does that mean, right? So each one of our loans, they will have, if clients posting collateral to us, each one of our loans, they'll have margin call levels and margin liquidation levels, where if the value of the collateral drops meaningfully, we have the potential to liquidate our clients.
Which can happen
now,
if there's a mass sell event on Bitcoin on the crypto space, or right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so to your point earlier, I've been through a few market cycles here now where my hair's turned gray. BlockFi has never liquidated an institutional participant before. That's a combination of incredible counterparty selection and very, very good risk management and structuring of these transactions so that we're never faced with a situation where we do have to liquidate one of our customers.
Yeah.
We've also never
because
had
if you liquidate one of your customers, then there is a negative, there's a debt, right? And debt is on that company. But if the company goes broke or they won't be able to pay BlockFi, and then BlockFi will have issues paying the interest to their clients, right? Potentially.
And so look, there's potentially, but there's always there's two things to think about there. One is that first off, these loans are sized, so that's to the gross and net exposure, where these loans are sized appropriately such that any one or even series of clients defaulting on loans would not impact our ability to pay back our clients if they wanted to withdraw their assets off the platform. And the second side of that is yes, it's a horrible it's a horrible experience if we have to take a client to bankruptcy proceedings because they default on a loan and they're not paying back the loan. But it's also bad reputationally, right? The minute we do that, we can no longer say that we've never liquidated an institutional client. So, and that's very important to us. We care about that reputation. And so we never want to put ourselves in a situation where we're taking that risk.
Yeah. And also have a question. Let's say that, BlockFi has grown incredibly hard, incredibly fast. What if you get so much credit, people put so much money on their savings account at BlockFi that BlockFi is not able to put that money on loans to other companies, but you will still have to pay the interest? How does it work? Is there like a limit on how much money you can get from the market before you're running into problems? How do you see that? If you're growing so fast, how can you still make money on all those millions or billions? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's an incredibly relevant question and a good question. So if you have a BlockFi account, you might have seen recently that we've actually lowered rates on both Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm getting a lot of questions. Why is Bitcoin only 5%? It's still a very nice rate, but it's lowering. And what is the risk of maybe going into 4%? Or but we'll get to that a little bit, just maybe,
To quickly touch on it, it's an important thing to understand. It's exactly to your point of, as these assets continue to grow, if there's not demand on the institutional side for us to lend it out in a conservative way, our rates will reflect that. And it goes both ways. Over my career at BlockFi, we've increased rates on certain assets if the demand on the institutional side goes up. So like right now, I believe we're paying 10% on US dollar deposits for clients because there's an incredible amount of demand in the market for US dollar borrows. Now, if that market ever
US
switches,
dollar or US dollar tether, or is that US dollar?
Both. US dollar and US dollar tether. And so there's just this incredible, so actually, well, let me just be clear. So for that 10%, I believe is just for US dollar or USDC or PAX or GUSD or maybe BUSD as well. Tether, I believe, is still at 9.3%. I don't think we raised tether rates. Just wanted to be clear on that one. But yeah, so to the extent that, market dynamics shift, and we can talk about those market dynamics later and what drives it, but to the extent they shift, I believe that we will go back and raise rates for Bitcoin. Now, when you look at other platforms who go ahead and keep rates consistent, right? BlockFi is, at this point on any given day, the largest or second largest institutional capital provider in crypto. We're very much aware of what the market dynamics are in the institutional borrowing and lending market. We know where demand sits for things like Bitcoin and ETH. If institutional counterparties are not adjusting their rates appropriately for what, demand sees on their end, it's a function of one of two things. They're either finding riskier ways to earn a return, they're punting assets into DeFi, for example, or they're taking losses on it, and they're comfortable taking losses to maintain the rates. They're different business strategies. BlockFi wants to do that as long as we can, but at the end of the day, we're trying to continue to maintain a very secure and scalable business. And we want our rates to be reflective of the demand that we're seeing in the market. And so they'll continue to be driven by that dynamic. And, we expect them to ebb and flow over time, but not too frequently where you won't feel like you can keep assets there and earn a consistent return.
So in the Netherlands, in 2020, all Dutch people together, they had a savings account of 300 billion euros. So that's like 360 billion US dollars. So let's say 10% of that 36 billion US dollars. I mean, that's welcome, of course, at the BlockFi company. Are those amounts of money that you can move, or is there a certain amount of cap that you say, well, we grow maybe 10 billion a month or 10 billion a quarter, or is that, Can you say something about that?
We would love as much US dollar deposits as the people in the Netherlands want to bring to BlockFi. It's, we can, to touch on that briefly, like, why is there this demand? Because it's really interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and it's been going on for quite a while now at this point. On the institutional side of digital assets, it is not as easy as it is for traditional asset managers or hedge funds or high net worth individuals, excuse me, to go to a bank and to get unlimited printed dollars from the Federal Reserve, right? Go to the money markets directly and access just an unlimited amount of capital, right? Crypto firms don't have that luxury. And so there's firms like BlockFi that fill that gap to provide capital to execute different trading strategies for working capital, for financing life purchases, a whole host of different reasons that people generally can't, go to their bank and take out a mortgage with Bitcoin, right? Excuse me. But you can, come to BlockFi, post your Bitcoin as collateral, get dollars, and then go, buy a house or buy a car or pay off your student loans. Or on the institutional side, different trading strategies like basis trading is very common right now, where clients will capture the difference between a elevated future price and the current spot price, and they need US dollars to execute these type of trading strategies. All of these things combined create this massive amount of demand for US dollar capital in the crypto ecosystem, which allows companies like BlockFi to pay clients a very high return on their dollar deposits with us.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's a very interesting business model. And all right. And so I also had the question, what separates BlockFi from the competition? Because there are other companies that do similar strategies, of course. Is there something that you could say about what makes it so that BlockFi will why should you put your money in your BlockFi account instead of a different savings account?
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of great options out there. There are a lot of great options out there. And again, I personally keep my money at BlockFi, and I was keeping money at BlockFi before I joined the firm a little over a year ago. I think there's a few things that I look towards that I really like about it. The first thing that I touched on earlier in this interview is just incredible customer service. I send all my friends to BlockFi. When they open up an account, if they have a problem, they don't have to call me. They can call the phone number on BlockFi's website and get an answer. They can email customer support and get a real person to give them a real answer, which I think is a huge differentiating factor to people who are looking to place, real meaningful personal capital with a firm. It's a lot of trust. I think usability is a big thing. We make it incredibly easy to set up an account, to deposit your assets, to see your yield, to get your reporting, all in one really simple, easy interface that I think a lot of the other offerings don't have. I think the institutional trust. So, what we just touched on before in terms of risk management, in terms of a team that has, collectively like well over 100 years of traditional asset management experience. Dedicated risk teams watching this across our entire structuring and credit risk group. And the fact that we've never had any sort of institutional losses or liquidations managing through multiple market cycles. I think all those combined, it creates a really compelling argument. So,
and if let's go ahead in time a little bit. It's maybe it's Christmas 2021, and this market cycle, maybe it's over, maybe it's not over. I'm thinking we will be in this cycle for some time, because the fundamentals at the moment for the whole decentralized finance system are so large. I think crypto is making I mean, they are gaining the stock market, right? And I think it's a gap that will be, I'm not sure if it will be closed, maybe will, but it will be closed a little bit. So let's say this cycle is about to end and the crypto space will cool off a little bit, or maybe a lot. We don't know that for sure. What will you see with the retailers funding their accounts, either in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, or whatever currency you support? And you will probably see a shift in interest rate, right? At the moment, the US dollar coin or Tether is 9% and Bitcoin is 5%, and other coins are maybe 4 or 5%. So when the crypto space is cooling off, probably the interest rates on the crypto will rise and the interest rate on the stable coins will decrease. Is that something is that in the market cycle in a bull run, you will get more interest on dollars or stable coins? And if in a bear market, it's the other way around, you get more interest on your Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Yeah, there are a lot of different factors, I think, that go into it. So two good examples, two good historical examples. So during DeFi summer, right, there was a massive amount of demand to borrow Ethereum from BlockFi. And so that's a cycle where it's a boom cycle, but there is still demand to borrow crypto. And so during that cycle, I believe we increased our rates on Ethereum deposits because we want to incentivize more people coming to BlockFi's platform to deposit in Ethereum. Conversely, though, if there is a bear cycle and let's just say Bitcoin is selling off, one really important market dynamic that I touched on that drives a lot of demand for US dollars is the futures market. And so to get a little bit more granular with that and explain what's happening. Yeah. In the current market that we sit in, this incredible bull run, the futures premium has consistently traded above spot. And that difference is called basis. And so right now, I mean, I don't know what it is today, but
can you maybe explain for the people watching a little bit more about those futures? Can you maybe make a definition of what that is and then continue your story? Yeah,
absolutely. So a futures contract is a derivative contract, which provides the owner of the contract the obligation to purchase an underlying asset at a set point in the future called the maturity date or expiration date, at a specific price called the strike price. And so these contracts, historically, they've been used by farmers, commodity traders, traditional equities. They were developed for farmers effectively. But the idea is that you can lock in a price at some point in the future for an underlying asset is the simplest way to look at it. And so during this incredible bull run, the price, if you look at like a 1 month future, has consistently traded above where spot Bitcoin is trading because people are anticipating the price of Bitcoin to converge up towards that future price. And so again, that difference today versus a 1 month future trades at a premium, which can be quite large. In crypto right now, and again, so I don't mean to say right now, but over the past few weeks, it's actually traded at premiums as large as 30%. Which is an incredibly large number, right? And so how do you execute a trading strategy to capitalize on that difference? What institutional clients will do is they will come to BlockFi and borrow dollars to go long Bitcoin, so buy spot Bitcoin, and then sell the future. And then as you wait to expiration, that price will collapse and you will capture that 30%. And so if you borrow from BlockFi at, say, 15%, put on this trading strategy that captures you 30%, you net 15%.
Yeah.
It's a very common trade that we see on the institutional side.
Yeah.
Now, the reverse of that, let's just say that we've entered a bear market where now people are saying, crypto is going to, start selling off. The futures market trades in backwardation, which means the futures price is trading below current spot price.
Yeah.
What clients will then do is the converse of that strategy. They will borrow Bitcoin to go short Bitcoin and long the future and wait to capture that spread.
Yeah.
And so we'll see in periods like the crash in March, clients are borrowing a lot of Bitcoin because futures were in deep backwardation and they were looking to capture that spread.
Yeah.
That's a very common type of trading strategy and what can drive us to potentially increase our Bitcoin rates if there's a huge uptick.
Yeah, right. So that's how it remains into balance. Either it's a bull cycle or a bear cycle, there's always money to be made. So that's why a company like BlockFi will always exist, because there will always be a need either in the cryptocurrency or is Ethereum or Bitcoin or dollars, right? So it doesn't really matter if they go long or short, there's always money to be made. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's I was talking about this with someone fairly recently. Market volatility, whether it's upside volatility or downside volatility, is generally good for firms like BlockFi, because we just care about activity. We want people to be moving in and out of markets. We want people to be going long Bitcoin. We want people to be trading it. That's great for us because we're able to provide capital for people to execute their trading strategies.
Yeah.
The only scenario in the worst case scenario for a company like BlockFi is just nothing's happening. There's no interest in crypto. People stop talking about it. That is a type of situation where it's not as exciting to be a company like BlockFi, because then people aren't looking to do too much in the crypto ecosystem.
Yeah. And at the moment it's free. There's a free withdrawal once a month for people who have money in their savings account with their crypto. Is that something that is still the idea of keeping that once a month, a free withdrawal? Because I think it's a really nice perk on being a customer at BlockFi.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. So it's a little bit outside of what I do in my day-to-day, but I think overall the idea is that we want to incentivize people to look at BlockFi as their home for their crypto, effectively. If they got a place,
exactly.
They got to find a home for it. Whether it's I buy it through BlockFi, I store it at BlockFi, I take out a loan at BlockFi. And we don't want to make it too painful to move in and out of your home, right? We want to make it so the place you keep coming back to.
Yeah, exactly. And is there also other plans to add different cryptocurrencies? At the moment, there's a limit of maybe 10 cryptos, but maybe like Cardano, Polkadot, or other coins that are becoming more and more, have more market cap, maybe top 10 or top 20 coins. Any development on that you will provide a nice interest amount on those kind of coins?
Oh, yeah. So we're not at a place right now where we can share exactly what those assets will be, unfortunately, but we are working really hard to add more assets to BlockFi's platform. I think it's one of the things that we've recognized, that we've lagged some of our competitors in the ability to support additional assets. And there's just been so much growth across the crypto ecosystem with other assets. Think about a lot of the DeFi assets that have gained, outside just other layer one assets, as you said, like Cardano or Polkadot, which are incredible protocols, or incredible blockchains, I should say. All of the other sort of layer two assets that have gained an incredible amount of value, we want to be able to support that on BlockFi's ecosystem too. So we're working really hard. I expect hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be making some announcements on assets that we're going to be listing for this quarter. Yeah, so another question that I received is that it does cost some money to send over crypto to BlockFi because it's going over the Ethereum network, right? ERC20. And is it true that if we get Ethereum 2.0 and we get the sharding, that it will be cheaper to send over cryptocurrency, especially for people with smaller accounts, right? Not everybody sending over $100,000 and then maybe $20 is nothing. But if you want to send over a couple of hundred and you have to pay 20, well, it takes a lot of time to regrow the $20. But of course, there is a bonus, a sign-up bonus. If people use the link in the description down below, they can get a bonus. But how does that work? Is there any chance that those fees will be reduced in the near future because of that? Yeah. So, I mean, trust me when I say that everybody who works at BlockFi is a crypto enthusiast, right? So we all have our own personal holdings. We all feel the pain of really high gas fees with moving Ethereum around these days. So it's something certainly on our radar of how we can try to be helpful and efficient for our clients. I think more on a protocol level, we're very much involved with the transition from proof of work to proof of stake, and what that's going to mean for our clients. I think we're hopeful that the development cycle around that transition will happen in sort of obviously a safe manner. That's number one. The most important thing is that it's a safe transition and maintains the integrity of the network, but hopefully it's speedy as well, so that we can all start benefiting from the scalability and hopefully improved economics of that transition to proof of stake. Yeah, exactly. All right, Rob. So finishing question, what should people in the Netherlands do to move money to BlockFi and start earning interest? Yeah, to the point earlier, it should be incredibly simple for you to do. So if you go to our website, blockfi.com, you'll be able to click create an account. A very, very simple, easy onboarding experience from that end. You'll just have to do some base verification about, who you are. And then once your account is approved, and it should be approved, if not immediately, sort of within a few hours, you'll be able to start depositing. You'll see a big deposit button right on the home screen. We just rolled out a beautiful new UI. Deposit both stable coins, crypto, and then you can start earning interest in either asset, or you can even flex your payments to earn interest in Bitcoin, for example, if you deposit stable coins. And then you'll immediately start accruing interest. So, super easy.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, my own experience has been very easy to work with BlockFi and put money in my savings account. Is there maybe something else at the end of the interview that you would like to say to everybody in the Netherlands to welcome them aboard on BlockFi?
Yeah, look, I've been working at BlockFi for a little over a year now, and it's as we've talked about a few times on this interview, I've been through enough market cycles to say that I have gained nothing but increased trust in BlockFi as a platform. How it operates from senior management all the way down, it's been an incredible group of people striving towards one goal of making crypto incredibly accessible and easy for the average person to get invested in, because we all believe in the future of this industry and where crypto is going to hold a place in all of our investable portfolios in the future. So, please join BlockFi. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to be helpful for anybody trying to get invested in the space.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you so much for your time on this interview. It's been really informative to know more about BlockFi, how it works, and especially how it works during a bull cycle, because everybody's happy in a bull cycle. But when a bear market hits you in the face, and you maybe get some gray hairs in the process, an iron stomach, but it's still good to know that one of the most important things also for BlockFi is that you need activity, market activity. So either in a bull run or a bear run, there's always money to be made. So people will still get money on there, and they get their interest rate paid monthly in the cryptocurrency of choice. So there is a certain stability in the market that way. And thank you also for your clarity on assessing new customers, how that process works, how thorough it is, and amazing growth at the company. And thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to talking to you again in the near future.
Yeah, let's do it again soon. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Rob. En dan zijn we aan het einde gekomen van het interview met Rob Margolis. Ik hoop dat je het interessant vond en er wat van opgestoken hebt hoe BlockFi in elkaar zit. En waarom het ook echt interessant is om daar cryptocurrency neer te zetten. Omdat deze markt is nog lang niet over een extra rente krijgen op crypto waar je anders die bijvoorbeeld niet kunt steken. Of waar je anders lage rente krijgt, is natuurlijk hartstikke interessant als je net als ik je winst wil maximaliseren. Niet alleen in deze bull cycle, maar ook na de bull cycle wil je nog steeds interessante rendementen verdienen met beleggen. Dus hier beneden, ook in beeld, laat ik even zien wat de bonussen zijn afhankelijk van hoeveel dollars je overmaakt naar je BlockFi-account. Dat hoeft overigens niet in één keer, want het gaat erom dat in de gemiddelde periode van 2,5 maand wat het saldo is op je BlockFi-account. Dat bepaalt uiteindelijk hoeveel gratis en hoeveel bitcoin je dus cadeau krijgt van BlockFi. En daarna wordt het uitbetaald halverwege de maand. Als je op de link klikt, de referral link van Een Rijker Leven, die bonus is overigens alleen voor jou, dan zie je ook een code daarin. Als je naar beneden scrolt, zie je ook de exacte voorwaarden die van toepassing zijn op deze regeling om die bonus te krijgen. In ieder geval, ik zou zeggen heel veel succes met overdenken en om het geld daarheen te sturen. En ik wens je hartstikke mooie rente toe. En laat even weten ook in de comments of je meer van dit soort interviews ook met bijvoorbeeld een BlockFi zou willen zien. Want ik ben zeker van plan om ook andere bedrijven te gaan benaderen om daar interessante gesprekken mee te voeren. Mocht je nog niet geabonneerd zijn op dit kanaal op dit punt, vergeet je zeker niet om te abonneren. Elke week op zaterdag om 10 uur 's ochtends komt er een nieuwe video. En vond je deze interessant, deze content leuk? Laat ook even een duimpje achter en dan zie ik je weer in de volgende aflevering. Tot ziens.